All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, Sean Strickland gave me the ability to do a video that I'm very excited to do. So Strickland, over the weekend, told a story to the MMA Hour that he was a neo-Nazi when he was growing up, a skinhead, like a straight-up skinhead, neo-Nazi, white supremacist when he was growing up. And he told the whole story of his childhood, how he ended up in that situation, how he felt, the things he did, including like hate crimes that he got thrown out of school for. And yeah, I mean, look, like, this is the kind of video that I normally would like to do on my other channel. Like Jesse on Everything, this is where I would talk about this kind of thing, like just culture and, you know, humanity, etc. But because it's a UFC fighter, I'm putting it on Jesse on Fire. So if you enjoy this video, go check out Jesse on Everything. But if you enjoyed this video for the MMA stuff, subscribe, ring the bell, all that. So yeah, I'm going to talk about whether I think it was smart for him to share this information. I'll talk about what he said and, you know, what it means for his career, if it means anything, and also just my thoughts on his life in general. But yeah, I guess a good place to start would just be to kind of point out that Sean Strickland kind of exploded onto the scene this year. He's been one of those guys like that just kind of blew up in the last year. And I can tell you right now, if I was like, hey, where do you think Sean Strickland's big kind of ascension started? People would probably be like, if you're not really paying close attention like I am. But I can tell you, it's when he posted that video, or that video got posted of him, you know, with the submission grappler whose name is escaping me. He's a huge jiu-jitsu guy, you know, did that elbow lock when they were sparring, and Strickland got pissed and threw punches at him. And then the guy was trying to walk him down and all that. Like, that was the first thing where it was like, whoa, it was like, dude, that guy just tried to break his elbow, you know, all that. And then that was Sean Strickland. And since then, his Instagram game has been top notch, dude. He's been posting all these hard sparring things. He does all kinds of crazy shit. He's shooting guns. He's doing Roman candle wars. He's talking shit to Luke Rockhold. Like, that guy is doing an exceptional job promoting his career. Let me just say, right up until he did this interview, we'll talk about it. I'm not saying necessarily he's the worst thing ever, but, you know, he had been doing an exceptional job promoting his career, right? He also is one of these guys that's been talking about he wants to kill somebody in the octagon. Normally, I don't care about that. As a matter of fact, I don't really care this time either. I'm just going to, again, part of this is going to be like, was this a smart interview? I'm just going to remember, he's one of these guys that's like, I'm going to kill somebody in the octagon, son. Put him in the ground. And like I said, that's something that a lot of people do. I hear a lot of critics, they're like, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. You know, you say you're going to kill somebody in the... Okay, well, it's one thing to say, I want to kill a person in the octagon. It's another thing, if you actually killed someone in the octagon, to go to the cameras and be all, yeah, I'm glad that guy's dead, man. Like, those are two very different things. Like, one is you're promoting a fight, right? Like, ultimately, when you're talking to a camera about what you're going to do in a fight, consider the audience, dude. You're talking to a bunch of dumb fucks. Like, you're talking to a bunch of, like, you know, violence-crazed dummies, you know? Like, if you think you're supposed to just be saying things that you mean all the time, I would point you in the direction of Chael Sonnen's career. Like, you think Chael said that, you know, that he really hates New York? You know, I hate New York in Madison Square Garden. You think he actually hates, well, maybe he does. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, your job is to promote fights. So you say, oh, I'm gonna kill a guy in the ring. Like, you're just doing your job. You're just saying things to get people to watch you. Like, that just is what it is. But, yeah. But anyway, like I said, part of this interview, he talks about wanting to kill people in a different way, where I'm like, eesh, man, if you're gonna say you wanted to kill people in the octagon, maybe don't tell people that you were walking around with knives and rocks looking to actually kill people when you were a white supremacist. Like, maybe not those two things. But yeah, so let's jump into this thing. So, you know, the headline is, he was a neo-Nazi white supremacist when he was growing up. I mean, look, I'm not gonna pretend like I was like super shocked by this news. And I'm not saying, you know, it's not like I look at the guy and I'm like, oh wow, this guy was probably a Nazi. But he's got a shaved head, he's white, and he looks like, you know, and he's crazy. Like, he looks like a guy that maybe could have gone through a phase like that. I don't know. I mean, but the bottom line is, he was, you know, he had a pretty rough childhood. It sounds like he had an abusive father. He went through his childhood thinking his dad was going to kill his mom. You know, and I think about that a lot, actually. You know, like, he had an incident where he was hiding under his mom's bed. They didn't know he was in there, and his dad was like choking his mom. He said they might have been, you know, but his dad was like, tonight's the night you die. Now, let me just say this. Even if they were, okay, that's a very weird thing to be into, okay? Like, I'm down to choke, you know, someone who wants it, but tonight's the night you die, you know? Like, choke me, okay, you wanna get choked? You get choked. But like, tonight's the night you die. That's, if you get off on that, that's concerning, to say the least. But as a third grader, which is how old he was, regardless of that's what's going on, he thinks the guy's killing his mom. So he rolls out, grabs a guitar, smashed it on his dad, and went and called the cops. The cops came and arrested him, and his mom bailed him out the next day. So, you know, he lived in a place that was unsafe. And that's what I mean is like, like I think about this all the time, that like, you know, to my daughters, they look at me and they feel completely safe. Like my role in their life as a person who's with them all the time is they're in absolutely no danger. Not that they would even recognize that danger exists around them probably, but like as a, you know, if they look at, you know, who's your dad as it relates to danger, they're like, he's the one that would make sure that we're never in danger, you know, like he'll protect us for sure. And I think about what that would be like if it was reversed, where, hey, your tattooed, you know, 200-pound dad, like, what is he? And they're like, he's a live wire. He might hurt us. We don't know. He might hurt our mom. He might hurt us. We never know. He's so unpredictable. We're afraid of him all the time. Like even when he's smiling, we don't know if like the next minute he's going to completely spaz out and throw our mom around or throw me around or like, you know. And I just think of what that would be like to grow up in that environment and like, and just pull all the safety that kids feel away. Because I had none of that, right? Like the shit that I ate that turned me into what I am, because I really believe that like that is a big reason that people turn into, you know, like these kinds of guys, you know, like is someone made them feel small and scared when they were young, you know, like they felt small, they felt insignificant, they felt unsafe when they were young, and that feeling was so uncomfortable to them that the adult that they built themselves into was someone that would never feel afraid or unsafe, that people would be terrified to fuck with, you know. Like for me, I got fucked with by kids when I was young. Like I was a really small kid. And I'm talking when I was like young, you know, like I got fucked with when I was really young. And I also, you know, was a kind of whatever. But that's where that came from for me. With Sean, it clearly came from feeling unsafe in his own home. So when his dad was out of the picture, he ends up with his grandpa, who's a 6'7" white supremacist. And that becomes like a major influence in his life. He becomes a neo-Nazi. And he says, and here, I'm going to read this to you. So he says he gets kicked out of school for a hate crime. So, I mean, that's like, you know, I think he was in 9th grade. So that's like almost 20, what's he like in his early 30s? So that's like 20 years ago. Imagine what they're calling hate crimes 20 years ago. Like, that's not like, you know, you made a bad joke on a cell phone. You know, 20 years ago, hate crime is like a hate crime. And he says he doesn't remember what he did. He's like, I don't remember. It was something. I got kicked out for a hate crime. I don't remember what it was. Okay. I feel like you'd remember that, but maybe it was something gnarly enough that he doesn't want to talk about it. It is what it is. But he basically said that he said that he just felt good to hate. Sorry, I'm trying to find this in the article. I would just walk down the street with just a knife or like a rock, hoping to kill somebody. And when I started training, I realized, man, you're just fucking angry. But like I said, dude, if you're gonna say I want to kill people in the octagon, I would have left that out, dude. Like, you know, yeah, I used to walk around as a white supremacist just looking for someone brown that I could kill. It's like, oof, man. Like, obviously the story is going towards him recognizing the flaws in his thinking, and obviously he doesn't believe in that stuff anymore, but it's 2021, dude. Like, it's 2021. And I think the hysteria over white supremacy is we'll get to that actually. But like, this is a risky thing to do here. Like this interview was risky to just say that. So he basically says that what ended up happening, I'll read this actually to you. He said, again, I had no idea what it meant. I'm in elementary school. I'm in 7th grade. I don't know what the fuck it means. Then I started training, and at the moment I started training, I was like, fuck, man, I don't hate anybody. Everybody's cool. Then a lot of people who helped me out in my life, they weren't white. Usually the white people in my life were fucking dicks. A lot of ethnic people were the ones who held their hand out, which is nuts because I'm a little fucking neo-Nazi Hitler youth, and yet people are helping me out, and they're not even fucking white. So that was a weird thing to deal with, and you also feel ashamed. Now you feel ashamed because your entire life you've been spouting off this rhetoric. Again, I'm being a kid, and the next thing you know, people are helping you, and they're not even fucking white. It's also it's also a shameful thing you have to come to grips with. My entire life, I hated you just because of your color, and now you're the one fucking helping me out. Life is strange. So, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's not shocking that someone who believes in neo-Nazi shit, when they start interacting with people who are not white, find out that the entire ideology is complete fucking bullshit. I mean, it's not shocking at all, obviously, you know, especially if you end up in a gym training. Because where do you bond harder with people than in the gym training with people? Nowhere. I mean, maybe military and war. Maybe like military and war. But like, dude, when you're in the gym with guys, fighting with them, you know, rolling, like, you know, how'd you fucking trap my arm right there? Show me exactly what you did. You know, a guy strangles you and you're like, how did you do that Kimura sweep right there? Because once you had, you know, and they're like, here's exactly what I did to strangle you, you know? It's like that kind of bond is different, you know, than someone you just meet at work and you're like, you know, you have a good time with guys at work, but it's different. And so in the gym, and he's training with these guys, serious bonds, and it's just like, dude, I love this fucking guy, and this just breaks my ideology completely. Like, I can't believe this and love this dude and this dude and this dude. So of course, you know, he washes out of it, obviously, you know, because the ideology is complete fucking bullshit, obviously, you know. But yeah, I mean, look, like that's basically that's the headline. So now let me talk about whether I think this was a good idea that he did this interview in general. So I'm a person who respects honesty above all other things. Like if you give yourself out there like your genuine self, people will respond to it, you know? And the reason why I say that is because it sounds very simple. It's not, you know? It's actually not very simple at all. And I actually really believe that a huge component of charisma is the ability for you to just share yourself with people, like to just be yourself, not feel that anxiety that people feel like you start talking in front of a group and you feel that anxiety, you know, like the anxiety in your chest. It's like the lack of anxiety, the lack of paranoia, the lack of any concern about saying the wrong thing. That is what charisma is, in my opinion. I really believe that that's really what it is the ability for you to talk to people and communicate in a way where you don't feel anxious, you don't feel paranoid, and you could say whatever you feel, you know, like that. I just think that's what it is, right? Which is why he's a charismatic guy. He just says whatever he wants, right? And honestly, if you say what you actually believe, in most cases, you could say anything you want. Like I've been thinking, so I read that Bisping recently did this like stand-up concert, right? Like, and he said that it went really well. He was super nervous. And I've been thinking about doing that where I'm like, you know, I mean, I used to do that for my fraternity. I did it every single week. I would do like a stand-up routine every week, and then I just kind of got off of it. And since I started doing the channel, I was like, maybe I should go back. Maybe I should actually just go do stand-up. Like, that'd be fun. And I was thinking about the routine that I would do, and part of the bit that I'm going to do is how if you say things confidently, you can literally say anything that you want. I'll leave it at that because, you know, I'm not going to give material to any of my competing fucking comedians. But that's the bit, because it's true. You can literally say whatever the fuck you want. If you say things confidently, there's nothing you can't say. But this right here might have been one that you kept in the back pocket. Like, just because, dude, not because you should be ashamed of your past, not because you can't share it with people that you're close to, but 2021 is crazy. Like, people are crazy. There is this whole thing going on here where you have a concerted effort by the media to paint a certain group as like the ultimate evil in the country. And they're not. If they were actually talking about neo-Nazis and white supremacists, that'd be one thing, right? Like if there was actually this enormous movement of white supremacists and, you know, neo-Nazis, they're huge. It's a huge thing. If that was real, like, you know, 2 million of them, that'd be one thing. But that's not what they're doing. Like that's very much not what they're doing. Okay, what they're actually doing is they're trying to create the illusion of this huge neo-Nazi movement so that they can put people into that group and basically de-incentivize people to say that they believe in certain things that are counter to what the media wants you to think and vote for. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's like, oh, you believe in that? What are you, some kind of neo-Nazi? You know, that's what they're doing. Like that is ultimately, if you go 4 layers deep of like, why do I hear so much about white supremacy? And I look around, I don't see any white supremacy anywhere. Like I've never interacted. I mean, you know, Sean Strickland apparently, but like I've literally never interacted with any white supremacist ever. And somehow it's the number one problem in the United States. How is that even possible? Okay, it's a strategy. It's a strategy. And it's a strategy to get people to vote the direction that they want them to vote, and to have people afraid to share certain opinions because they don't want to get lumped in with a white supremacist. What's worse than a white supremacist? Nothing, right? Like a Nazi is the worst thing you could be. So like, it's a huge de-incentive to say that you believe in certain things, because I don't want people to call me a fucking Nazi, man. And so in 2021, in that environment, being like, yeah, I was a Nazi, it's like, ooh, man. We'll see how it goes, dude. Like, we'll see how that goes. You know, I would have heavily suggested against it. And not, again, I respect the honesty. I respect him being upfront. This particular thing, I would have been like, keep that in the back pocket, my friend. Like, definitely keep it in the back pocket. It's possible that I know someone who found out that his great grandpa was in the Ku Klux Klan in Oklahoma. And he talked to me about it. He's a person who has a public following. And he was like, do you think I should talk about it? I was like, no. I would say definitely 100% don't fucking talk about that, dude. Oklahoma, KKK, you ever heard of the Tulsa Massacre? You want to get blood connected to that? I literally never even met him. Understood, you know? He was like, dude, I was as shocked as any, like, I have no connection to the Ku Klux Klan. That's fine. Just don't tell anybody, dude. Just my suggestion, do whatever you want. My suggestion would be probably keep that one in your back pocket, you know? But yeah, doesn't change any, I mean, my opinion of him is unchanged, you know? But I'll be interested to see how this goes for him. But anyway, that's what I got. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, go check out Jesse on everything. Peace.